Dear students of class 8A and 8B, today lesson number 6. Some points I shall discuss, I shall explain for your better understanding about the historical events of some most important kingdoms of India after the disintegration of Mughal Empire, who took its advantages. First, I shall discuss about Bengal. What happened to Bengal after the disintegration of the Mughal Empire? You know, the Diwan of Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan, took its full advantages, taking the weak successors of the Mughal Empire. The weak successors of the Mughal Empire remained busy in enjoying entertainments, but without looking after the internal problems of the empire. It was Murshid Quli Khan, the Diwan of Bengal, took its advantages when, after the death of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. But Murshid Quli Khan was very intelligent. He felt that as an independent kingdom, which was once upon a time under Mughal rules, they must be loyal to the Mughal emperors. Later Mughals means weak successors of Aurangzeb, who ascended the throne one after one. Murshid Quli established cordial relations with them. Although Murshid Quli declared Bengal to be an independent state of India and enjoyed autonomy, liberty, without depending on the Mughal Empire. The Mughal emperors did not influence over Bengal only because of Murshid Quli Khan. But at the same time, Murshid Quli felt that relationship between Bengal and later Mughals should be strengthened. Otherwise, he would be unable to improve the revenue system of Bengal. He would be unable to strengthen the economic stability of Bengal. That's why he did not want to leave any opportunity, any conveniences through which Bengal could be targeted by the later Mughals. That's why during the period of Murshid Quli, Bengal reached to its highest extent. And next one, Ayodhya. Before discussing about Ayodhya, I would like to include few points more about Bengal. After the death of Murshid Quli Khan, his son-in-law Sujauddin came to power. He became the Nawab of Bengal. Sujauddin patronized art, painting, architecture during his time, and he also patronized all dancers who used to come to take part in various programs of Bengal. Besides, he also established cordial relations with the nobles. That's why during the time of Sujauddin, the nobles paid tribute, respect towards Sujauddin. But after the death of Sujauddin, his son, Nawab Sarfaraz Khan, he could not establish cordial relationship with the nobles, and so nobles started plotting against him and encouraged the governor of Patna, Alivardi, to declare war against Sarfaraz Khan. As a result, Sarfaraz Khan had to face a battle against Alivardi, the governor of Patna. So in that battle was taken place in Giria, in the battlefield of Giria, where where Sarfaraz Khan was defeated and killed, and Alivardi Khan, after defeating Sarfaraz Khan, became the Nawab of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Alivardi Khan was very intelligent. He could not tolerate the aspiration of the British. He felt that the British came to India to trade with this country, but at the same time they intended to take part in Indian politics, especially Bengal, since Bengal was a great center of collecting huge revenues. That's why Sirajuddaulah was advised by Alivardi before his death to take stern action against the British, so that British must not influence over Bengal. And as a result, Sirajuddaulah also followed the footsteps and followed the advice. He also kept in mind the advice of his grandfather Alivardi, and did not establish cordial relations with the British East India Company. On the contrary, he forced the British East India Company to pay taxes, and the British tried to make Sirajuddaulah understand that they had Forman. Forman means written documents that they would not pay any revenue, since it was issued in favor of British East India Company by Mughal Emperor Farooq Shah. That's why they must not pay any revenue while trading with this country, and that it was the most important cause of contradiction and confrontation between Nawab Sirajuddaulah and British East India Company, and ultimately it resulted in defeat of Sirajuddaulah in the Battle of Plassey, because Sirajuddaulah met British East India Company in the battlefield of Plassey in the year 1757, but it was due to plotting. It was due to a conspiracy of Mirzafar, his military commander of Nawab Sirajuddaulah. Military commander of Nawab Sirajuddaulah, Mirzafar, shook hand with the British, and ultimately the British won the battle, and Sirajuddaulah was defeated and later killed. So this is the history of Bengal, my dear students. Now next one, Ayodh. Next point, Ayodh. What happened to Ayodh? Now I am going to discuss about it. Ayodh. Now Ayodh. What happened to Ayodh? The state of Ayodh, covered the modern day district of Kanpur, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Ayodhya, Varanasi and Uttar Pradesh. Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah appointed Sadat Khan as the governor of this province. Sadat Khan was very intelligent and courageous. On being the governor, Sadat Khan declared himself independent and took charge of the political control, military control, financial affairs of the province. And later, Safdar Jung, his son-in-law, was appointed the Wazir of Ayodhya. And afterwards, the army was reorganized, and many fertile neighboring states Neighboring lands were also brought under the Ayodh's control. So trade and commerce also was flourished. Lucknow, the capital city of Ayodhya, earned for itself a distinct culture, learning, and ultimately it had become a great center of art, great center of culture. As a result, prolonged period of peace and economic uh, prosperity was established in Lucknow. Art and architecture flourished during this period. Baro Imambara was established in Lucknow and later on developed Ayodhya during 18th century. So this is the short history of Ayodhya. And next one, Hyderabad. Hyderabad. What happened to Hyderabad? The founder of this state Hyderabad was, who was the founder of the state Hyderabad? The founder of that state Hyderabad was Mir Kamaruddin Khan, was one of the most powerful nobles in the court of Mughal Emperor Farrukhsiyar, and later on appointed as the governor of Deccan by Muhammad Shah. He overthrew the Said brothers. He overthrew the Said brothers who were known as kingmakers, as they were instrumental in making Farrukhsiyar the emperor. It was due to the effort of Sadat Khan. Mughal emperors could not establish control over him. You know, Emperor Aurangzeb, Farrukhsiyar, Muhammad Shah conferred on him title Chin Kulich Khan, Nizamul Mulk and Asaf Shah respectively. These were the three most important, distinctions, three most important titles he obtained from different Mughal emperors from different times. These were Chin Kulich Khan, Nizamul Mulk and Asaf Jah. Now, another point it should be included, he founded the Asaf Jahi dynasty and governed Deccan an independent ruler from 1724 to 1748. He consolidated his hold over the region and checked the growing powers of the Marathas. The Marathas decided to weaken the state Hyderabad, but it was due to Nizamul Mulk or Sadat Khan. It was due to his effort. It was due to the Asaf Jahi dynasty. The Marathas could not raise their head for that very state, and ultimately a remarkable progress took place only because of Kamaruddin Khan, Mir Kamaruddin Khan. His successors were known as Nizams, and ultimately after the death of Mir Kamaruddin Khan, his descendants were involved in struggle for succession, and ultimately the Marathas, who had been eagerly waiting for that state Hyderabad, since there were huge natural resources, they wanted to utilize it. That's why the Marathas took the advantages of war of succession after the death of Mir Kamaruddin Khan. So they attacked Hyderabad and imposed Chowth on the state. Who? The Marathas. The Marathas imposed Chowth on the state Hyderabad. What is Chowth? Chowth was one kind of taxes which was imposed by the Marathas for the states whom they always underestimated. So it was due to the weakness of the weak successors of Sadat Khan or Mir Kamaruddin Khan. The Marathas attacked this state Hyderabad and later on imposed Chowth on them. The British company also checked Nizams from marching towards the Coromandel coast, and ultimately Marathas and the British, Hyderabad became a center of obstruction both from the sides of the Marathas and the British, because the British also targeted Hyderabad. And next state, my dear students, Mysore. Mysore. What happened to Mysore, my dear students? I am going to teach you. What happened to Mysore? Who were there as the ruler of Mysore? Mysore was the powerful Vijayanagara kingdom. When the powerful Vijayanagara kingdom reached to its highest glory and in highest extent, and when who was there as the ruler of Vijayanagara kingdom? Who was the ruler? The ruler of Vijayanagara kingdom, who made the Vijayanagara kingdom perfect, Krishna Deva Raya, made this state, Vijayanagara, a very powerful state of India. But after the death of King Vijayanagara, after his death, Vijayanagara kingdom was collapsed in the 17th century. Many independent kingdoms went to war against each other. Among these was the kingdom of Mysore, which had been successful in protecting its independence despite the recurrent attacks from the neighboring kingdoms. Why? Because of bold leadership of Hyder Ali of Mysore. Hyder Ali was the ruler of Mysore. His bold leadership protected this state Mysore in the south. Hyder Ali began a foot soldier. Hyder Ali started his career as a foot soldier, and then he became the ruler in the year 1761. He kept all the rebellions of the zamindars and then improved the conditions of the farmers. He brought all the farmers under his control who were against him and supported the zamindars. In order to crush the revolts of the zamindars, Hyder Ali helped the peasants and farmers, and ultimately the peasants and farmers strongly supported Hyder Ali against the zamindars. Hyder Ali did so with a view to weaken the status and condition of the zamindars. You know, first Anglo-Mysore took place in the year 1769. First Anglo-Mysore. Under the supervision, Mysore grew into such a prosperous and strong kingdom. But the formidable enemy under the bold leadership of Hyder Ali, East India Company, considered in the first Anglo-Mysore War, East India Company, it was considered to be a formidable enemy by the British East India Company. Mysore grew into such a prosperous, strong kingdom. But at the same time, during the first Anglo-Mysore War, the British forces was defeated. Army even defeated the British forces. Whose army? The army of Hyder Ali, because Hyder Ali provided European training to his army, and hence this army defeated the British in the first Anglo-Mysore War. But his son Tipu Sultan also proved to be a worthy son of a worthy father. He came to be known as the Tiger of Mysore. He challenged the authority of the British, and the British also kept on fighting against his son, against Hyder's son Tipu Sultan also. And he was strongly inspired by the French Revolution and equipped his army with the modern weapons and machinery. Who? Tipu Sultan. The economy of the kingdom also flourished and gave importance to agriculture, modern trade and industry. In the year 1799, he lost his life defending his capital Srirangapatnam against the British. While protecting his capital Srirangapatnam, Srirangapatnam, Hyder Ali, Tipu Sultan was defeated and ultimately lost his life. So these are the states, and next another one that is important, the Rajputs. the Rajputs. The Rajputs were actually war-liking nation. The Rajputs were war-liking race. They were fond of fighting against their enemies, and hence the Rajputs were not disturbed by any emperor, especially the Mughals during the period of Akbar made friendship with the Rajputs, and the Rajputs sacrificed their lives in order to protect the national integrity and sovereignty of Akbar's empire. That very Akbar also encouraged, Akbar also allowed a number of Rajputs to be officers in his administration. The Rajput states Jaipur, Jodhpur, Udaipur took advantage of the growing weakness of the Mughals after the death of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. By the 18th century, most of the Rajput states had become independent, of which Amber ruled by Swai Raja Jai Singh. Swai Raja Jai Singh was the most renowned person. The Rajput rulers could not unite and form an empire. It was a great weakness of the Rajputs and great, drawbacks of the Rajputs. The Rajputs were, the Rajputs did not want to did sacrifice their, honor and prestige while fighting against their enemies. They gave their best efforts in order to defeat their enemies. But it was a great mistake in the part of the Rajputs. They never got themselves united against their enemies. All the Rajput provinces, they fought individually. They had no unity, and hence the Rajputs could not achieve success and could not become the ruler of India. Only they all became the regional kingdom, regional ruler, Mughal court, and then, Rajput, the British East India Company took its advantages. They established control over the Rajput rulers. Why? Because they felt that the unity of the Rajputs would become a curse for them, might become a curse for them. That's why the British East India Company, from the very, very beginning, did not allow any Rajput province to be united with themselves, so that they must not become a cause of tension for the Britishers and must not become an eyesore of the British. Up to this, my dear students, one state also is left. Next day I shall discuss. Before discussing that point, I would like to make it clear to you about the history of these four states: Bengal, Ayodhya, Hyderabad, Mysore, and Rajputs. These all were the regional states of India. They all once upon a time under the Mughal control, but ultimately they all came out of the Mughal control and declared themselves to be independent states of India. Now why? Because of the later Mughals. After the death of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, a great advantage, the golden opportunity they availed, and ultimately they all declared their independence against the Mughal Empire and stopped paying taxes and revenues and started collecting taxes and revenues independently. And hence, the Mughal Empire lost its glory, its former image, only because of the rise of regional kingdoms and their declaration of their independence against the Mughals. Up to this, my dear students, thank you.